Hello, my friends. It is day 352, and we're reading First Timothy chapter 1 through First Timothy chapter 6. But before we get into our recap today, I want to thank you for taking a moment to check out this video. Hopefully, you're finding the yearly Bible reading program enjoyable, and I hope you are gaining a lot out of the study. If you have not yet accepted an invitation, you can check out our website at www.selflesschurch.org. There you'll find a link that will take you directly to the YouVersion Bible app. Actually, it won't. It'll take you directly to a registration sheet that will allow you to register for the upcoming year. And there we'll be sending out information on how you can participate in the upcoming Bible reading club. We're going to be actually joining together. There are going to be a number of resources provided for you. And so we would love for you to be a part of everything that we're going to be doing this year. So please take a moment to check out the video or check out the link, and you can join us in the upcoming year. Now, today we're reading in one of Paul's private letters to a young elder or an elder that was a follower and a partner, a companion of Paul as he traveled from place to place. We learned through the book of Acts that Paul took Timothy with him on various journeys, particularly at the end of his ministry or life. After the third missionary journey, he was able to travel with Paul. Timothy was. And he was also sent various places to lead and minister in the new Christ community. As this responsibility was given to him, he was given specific information or instructions that would help him not only maintain the personal character needed to lead as a follower of Christ, but he also received the information he needed to continue the apostolic or the apostolic commission, right? The way in which the apostles were taught to lead. He was given all of that information. And I think this is the things we read today help us understand what the objective was for creating a Christ community and what they should look like. Now, when I read through this today, it reminded me of the Didache. The Didache is a book that was found in just over the mid 1800s, 1860s, and it's believed to be a collection of writings from the first, or sometimes some people will consider the early second century, that described what life was like for the earliest followers of Jesus Christ, the things they did, the practices that they implemented, various things that would be relevant to those learning how to follow Jesus Christ. And when I read that and read Paul's letter to First Timothy, that's what I have in mind. Paul is trying to explain to the next generation of leaders what they should be doing in order to continue the sort of community that he has begun. First thing he warns them of is false teaching. Paul understood that false teaching was the most dangerous thing to the Christ community, and he warns Timothy against it. He also tells him to, as he protects the church from these things, to cling to his faith and keep his conscience clear. What would that have to do with? That's in chapter 1, verse 19. It'd have to do with teaching the truth with integrity and with honesty. Never having to worry whether or not you did not tell everyone what you were supposed to tell them about Jesus Christ. And telling the hard truth in this time would have been warning people that the old way of the law is no longer the path that gets you to the Father, but rather there's been a new way in his son, Jesus Christ, that all must believe and accept in order for them to be a part of the family of God. That would have been the hard truth. And it is still yet the hard truth that many people will not accept so easily. But beyond that, there are different protocols that Paul advises on. Like, again, in chapter 4, they're addressing, false teachers, but also just being a good leader and an integral leader. Then he moves to some of the practical governance of the church, How should widows and elders and slaves be addressed? How should women be? How should they conduct themselves? All these things were to be guidance to a pastor who will take on more responsibilities, because Paul has just advised us his life is coming to an end, and he's not going to be around in ways that he was before. In fact, if we look at Acts chapter 20, we understand that Paul, whenever he's leaving Ephesus, he's sharing with these elders and these leaders that he's not going to be here. They're not going to see his face any longer. And you can understand, as Timothy is being sent out to these various churches, many of them are getting the same feeling that Paul is coming down to the end of his life. And now there may be an instance where we won't see Paul again, but now we have to rely on the teachings that Paul gave us, and we must implement every bit of that in order to maintain the sort of community that he has begun. And so when we think about all these guidelines, and I like to call them, they're guidelines. They are absolutely, for a preacher or a leader or a pastor, they're guidelines. Now, when I read this, I think it's important for every pastor, every Christian leader to read 1st, 2nd Timothy, Titus, and underline everything that Paul tells them to do. Whether we find ourselves doing every single thing or not, it is at least worth gaining an understanding of the principle of what these things would mean to us in today's world. And I think that is something we all can learn from. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Here's an interesting question. What do you feel about the things Paul told Timothy to do in these chapters? Should these be things done today, literally, or should we be approaching these as principles? I guess in a short way, we can say, or ask the question this way: is this prescriptive or descriptive? Is Paul describing to not only Timothy, but to the entire church forever things they should be doing? Or is this a descriptive passage that we should be gaining or learning from in principle? I'd love to know your thoughts. Leave it in the comment box below. But let's keep reading and let's understand more of God's word as we draw near to the end of this year. We're officially only 14 days out. And so let's keep moving. We're going to make it. And I can't wait to see you at the finish line. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. God bless. And remember, live by the word.